faster than we ever thought. Gore was right. Everybody made fun of Gore for so many years, scientists and politicians. He was off, just like, Whitney and Art Bell. And Art was a friend of mine. Their book they wrote, they were off by about 20 years. But everything they have in that book is now starting to take, shape and falling in order. It's scary because I think we're coming very close to some major changes, which might change our life as we know it. I mean, we have right now everything is going on. It's scary. The magnet.
It is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Did you want to say something first?
It is scary. My personal experiences. Rick sometimes disagrees with me, but my personal experiences have led me to believe that I do not think the beings that I have been in contact with my entire life will allow total devastation of our human future. We need them and they need us. I do believe that they will intercede when necessary, but we really, really, really have to listen to what's going on and pay attention because there's clues being given to us on a regular basis. If you continue to not listen and continue to act like 2-year-olds having temper tantrums, you're going to have problems. There's some serious things going on between the earthquakes and the fires and the wars with each other, the lack of water that we're just slowly making ourselves live very uncomfortably. But I don't think that we're going to be totally annihilated. But that's just me.
Well, how do you feel, Richard?
I see us as going through a very vicious repeating cycle every 5,000 to 10,000 years. And the reason we keep going through this vicious self-destructive cycle is because we do not learn from our own mistakes, which is basically the writing on the wall that was left behind by our ancient forebears. There's a reason why pyramids were left strung all over the planet with hieroglyphs and cuneiform and all that, ancient sites. These were the markers left behind that when we're ready to understand it the right way, they'll open up their secrets to us and show us what we need to know to get past this hump that we're in right now. And we never seem, it's like trying to make a rolling start uphill. We never seem quite to make it over the hill to the other side, the next summit, in our social, cultural, and global evolution as a human race. And every time we fall down, the galactic community is there to basically pick us up and dust us off again and give it, have us start over again. And the ultimate test of all this in terms of climate change and disasters and so forth that the human race is impacting upon itself is that we haven't proven ourselves to be worthy members to join the galactic community. We're still chucking spears at each other. We're still engaging in tribal warfare. We may have replaced the Flintstone with plutonium, but we're still chucking spears at each other. We still have tribal nations. That's not normal. And that needs to stop as well. I get people who argue with me all the time, it's important to have national borders. Yeah, but the galactic community isn't going to tolerate that. They're not going to put up with having to explain everything to 200 different countries when it's supposed to be one planet. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing we got to get past too. And these horrid disasters that we bring upon ourselves, it's because we're a bunch of spoiled brats. We're self-entitled. We're privileged. We think we deserve it all. And we fail to comprehend the fact that there's nothing new about an iPad or a Roku or Amazon. Okay, there's nothing new about a smartphone. Those things existed 10,000 years ago. They existed 20,000 years ago. They existed 100,000 years ago. It's the same thing over and over again. We keep reinventing a society that does not learn from past destructive habits from thousands of years ago.
Well, you know what?
Take a look at the Moai statues on Easter Island. The ones that are still standing up represent the ones who survived the last disaster on this planet because they're facing away from the ocean. And what's hanging off their ears are Bluetooth devices, because those were the ones communicating with the ancient satellite up in space, which people have characterized as the Dark Knight or the Dark Horse satellite, I think they call it, something like that. So this is, this is all, what's old is new again. And like Zecharia Sitchin said, we are simply revisiting Genesis.
Yeah, well, this planet has been rebooted several times, and I've said that all the time. I look at this, the Mayas, the Incas, all these, okay? Why would they think gold was precious? The only reason why gold to them was precious because some race of humanoids came down to this planet to, well, what I can say, take our minerals, okay, our gold and silver, because in electronics, I don't care if it's in the future, past, or whatever, two things are very important in electronics, especially as we advance. One is gold and silver. In fact, we're running out of silver on our planet. The thing is, that's the only way they could have realized these humanoids came down, created maybe the human slaves to work the mines. They started realizing this gold they're mining is worth something. So they would, start saving it and collecting and building up a whole bunch of it. That's a logical sense. The pyramids, the Sphinx, the Sphinx is actually older than mankind. They just came to that conclusion recently. For years, they said, the wear marks on the back of the Sphinx was created by sand. No, they have now came back and said it was from the ocean. It was under the ocean, and that's the wear marks from it. That predates it to man, before this generation of humanoids walking this earth. So what you're saying on that part, I do buy. I think we're about ready to go and be, well, I hate to say it, rebooted again.
Yeah.
It's like jazz. It's the same song, but it comes out a little different each time. And hopefully this time around, we'll learn our lesson from the past 45 or 50 times that we've gone through this, which is pathetic. Can you imagine, what the galactic community thinks of us? They've had it up to here with the human race, and yet someone out there is still rooting for us because we're still here, because for all intents and purposes, we should have been wiped off the planet with the Oppenheimer tests, and that didn't happen because someone else came down to this planet and fixed the atmosphere and laced it in such a way that we didn't destroy ourselves by splitting the atom this time.
Yeah, but can I ask you a question? All it would take is some, whatever, humanoids, alien humanoids to come down on this planet and show, not physical force, but show that our weapons won't do any good. Remember that the day of the Earth stood still? Come down and show, hey, look, we're not going to let mankind continue what you're doing. We're going to put a stop to it. Or we'll do like they did in that movie, the series of book, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where the Earth was in its way for its new freeway, and they push a button and poof, it was gone. They could just sit there and simply tell us, hey, you either shape up, or we're going to do one of two things. We're going to shape you up. If you're not willing to be shaped up, we'll just take your planet out. It's not going to exist anymore.
Well, judging from all the cosmological records, it stands a good chance that, the boss man in the form of King Anu and Enki and Enlil are going to come back, and that's not going to be a pretty picture for us. There's a dynamic problem with that, though, that sense of non-force, non-invasive, superior power. It's that if we don't learn to do it ourselves without something like that happening, it might very well just break the spirit of the human race and create a bunch of mindless acolytes who end up inventing a new religion and want to worship these things as their gods again, which is the same mistake we made 10, 20, 50,000 years ago.
Well, I got in trouble, Richard, back here a couple months ago. I basically said religion started, from an alien race that came down and populated the earth. That's how I feel. Man has always needed something to believe in. The fire god, the god of the stars, the god of the mountain. They had to believe in something. Otherwise, if you take that away from them, man has no reason to want to live. So I do feel that our gods that are our God we believe in is not the God that we really grew up by reading the Bible. I am sorry, I got people mad at me. I know it right now, but I think it was a alien race that came. That's how we got the pyramids. That's how we had the Sphinx. That's how all this stuff. It makes more logical sense than Adam and Eve. I'm sorry.
I agree with you.
If you want to, and your listeners who are listening right now, take a look at the book I published in 2015, The More, the Mason, and the Alien, the first one in the new series. It's subtitled A Call to Action. And
a lot of what you said is in there.
I explain in detail how all the things we've come to believe in society, in culture, in religion, all came about through extraterrestrial contact, even getting down to the linguistics and etymology of where the words came from. So if people really want to learn about their true human history and are willing to put aside, what they believe in the first place, then they can learn a lot from the books I've published.
Now, again, our time is almost up here. Why don't you tell the people how they can find your website?
Sure. Our website is ufoteacher.com, all one word, UFO and the word teacher right after it, .com. On there, you'll find our bios about Linda and I, and you'll even find our books on the website, too. They're even there, just to make it easy for people to track them down.
Mine's called The Kings Are Coming, and it is pretty much just a diary of all of my experiences, my mom's experiences, my kids, my sister, my dad. It's just, what's the word? It's a timeline starting from when I was little, but from the time I started writing in the book, in my diary and my mom's diary from 1995 until she passed away in 2005.
Yeah, she's got a 10-year period in that book there that she's recorded, which is pretty astounding when you look at the details in the diary format. In my books, sometimes people ask, well, how does the book you wrote in 2005 relate to the new book series? The simple answer is J.R. Tolkien. All right, Legions of Light, Armies of Darkness is to the More, Mason, and Alien books what The Hobbit was to Lord of the Rings. So I just leave it at that. That's how the two relate to each other.
Okay, guys, our time is virtually up. I want to thank you for coming on Night Dreams Talk Radio. Don't you have a podcast too, Richard?
No, not currently, but Linda and I are working on that. You can find us pretty much anywhere on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, Instagram. We're everywhere.
Okay, well, great. Hey, guys, I want to wish you a great holiday season and a happy new year. And again, you can find their books on Amazon or on their website. Well, Richard and Linda, you guys take care, okay?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
One day while reading history, I paused to take a sigh about the land Afghanistan where empires go to die. Alexander the Great, he tried and failed. The Mongols, they did too. The British and the Russians, they got their ass kicked too. America's been there many years, and I ask myself why we don't learn from history where empires go to die.